Gen Z lives in luxury poverty. Alright, chat. Let's see what this video is about. As a Gen Z nigga trying to make some money.
.com/artchat. Nobody loves Gen Z more than me. You know what? F it. Get millennials in here. Get the millennials in here. Nobody loves Gen Z and millennials more than me. I just did a thing. We're good people. We're hot. We work hard. We got the short end of the stick economically, and the world's too tumultuous to plan even 6 months in the future. But at least we look good while the world burns. Now, if you're a fan of microeconomics and random consumer reports such as myself, you'll know that young people's spending habits are completely unpredictable. You may have noticed a few of your friends have $300.
Yep. You got niggas that's pinching pennies, working 2 jobs just to survive in college. And then on the other hand, you have the fucking crypto trading, stock, drop shipping bros that are just all buying Lambos at 22 years old, 21 years old. Then you have the guys that want to be streamers and influencers, which takes like a 3 to 4 year grind of just content. And then you got the blue collar workers that did not go to college whatsoever, and they just want to just drink beer on weekends, do coke, ecstasy, and fuck hookers.
$1 a month memberships to gyms whose names you cannot pronounce. Yet they live in a bachelor apartment. Some of your
let's not forget the nerds that want to go to the fucking moon or some shit like that, or build the next SpaceX.
Friends have no investments, yet they only wear archival designer. You visited your friend's Wagey pod last weekend to spend the evening with Josh, only to find they had purchased a bright red toaster inexplicably called Schmeg, even though they live paycheck to paycheck. Our bad luck of being born at the end of an empire is causing us to do strange things with our money. When the classic milestones of home ownership, children, and retirement are off the table, we choose to live in the moment, with no regard for our future. A phenomenon that is shaking up years of economic orthodoxy. Luxury poverty. Luxury poverty is when people spend extravagantly on small luxuries despite financial insecurity, prioritizing lifestyle over long-term wealth. Now let's get the facts out of the way. We're fucked. Here's a graph showing the difference between housing cost and income since 1984 in Canada. I like the part where you think it's really bad, and then it goes so fast at the end, it's kind of funny. It's like the bit where Peter falls down the stairs and...
The housing prices compared to the income in Canada. I'm fucked. I think people that have a stable job are fucked. I like, what's the point of living anymore? If you can't own anything, if you can't leave behind a legacy. World Economic Forum, what are you guys doing?
Grabs his knee for 2 minutes. But that's just Canada. We're gonna be in American concentration camps in about 4 years, so who gives a damn? Here's a beloved graph using stats from the Economic Policy Institute. Average hourly compensation nearly doubled between 1948 and 1973.
If you give me $1, I will shut the hell up. How about you give me $1, nigga? I'm the streamer here, bro.
1973 onward to 2013, it rose only 9%, even though productivity rose 74%. Or this data from Pew Research Center, showing that unadjusted for inflation, the average wage in America rose by nearly $20 between 1964 and 2018. Adjusted for inflation.
So the paychecks are bigger, but spending power has not gone anywhere. Dollars are for a badge. Yep.
That's under $3. This is all stacked up against the fact that housing is...
Yeah, why did we have to just get born? I thought we were gonna get born in one of the most amazing times to be alive, but I was wrong. It looks like we're gonna be born in the middle of we were born to live through one of the greatest economic collapse in Western history. And there's nothing really we can do about it but just try and survive. That sucks.
Nearly tripled in cost since 1970. And this is the crux of the issue. Purchasing power and housing. If everything gets more expensive for decades, but wages don't go up, things get worse. These are facts that anybody under the age of 40 are familiar with, and I'm sure this isn't news to anybody in my audience. But it needs to be repeated again and again. It needs to be repeated because the myth still prevails that young people are lazy, don't want to work, and want handouts. And it is for these reasons that we are less well off economically than our parents. Let's dispel this. First, the myth that young people are lazy. Gen Z spends less time in traditional employment and stable work hours than older generations. A survey by Commercial Cafe found that Gen Z has the lowest office hours compared to any other generation. What this number doesn't account for is that Gen Z is far more likely to do gig work or freelance work than any other generation. Almost half of Gen Z and millennials, according to a survey from Bankrate.com, work in hours that are much.
Most Gen Z have side hustles and 2 jobs, bro. That's cap.
Harder to account for in these statistics. This may be reflected in data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which found that people between the age of 21 and 36 are more likely to be at work on any given day than any other age group. The fact that we are less willing to work and hold stable jobs is an issue with wages. Excuse me for being libtarded here, but it seems reasonable to ask that somebody working 40 hours a week on minimum wage should be able to afford a studio apartment in a city. However, the around $30K in gross income that 50 full-time minimum wage weeks nets you is nowhere close enough to afford an apartment in any major city in the US or Canada. When older generations say things like nobody wants to work anymore, they're referring to concrete labor, cashier, contracting, things that are tangible. But when you literally can't make enough of these jobs to live on, why would you be incentivized to work anywhere that has no impact on your quality of life, leading us to choose freelance and unstable work? It's never been about not wanting to work.
That's why seeking most like Gen Zers are coming into streaming and jobs like this because they see how much it pays people when it like, you know, when things are going right. So they said, you know what, fuck it, might as well give it a try.
Meaningful employment that has an impact on your quality of life and gives you control over your future. Working in and of itself isn't a virtue. We shouldn't be guilted into working shit jobs just because we culturally venerate labor. And all of this economic folly is exacerbated by rent seeking. Rental properties are a non-productive asset. The money you pay your landlord leaves the economy and enters your landlord's pocket. According to data from Zillow and reported on by Fortune magazine, Americans spend $485 billion yearly paying rent. If rent was, let's say, 10% cheaper, that would be an extra $48.5 billion that would circulate in the economy and go towards productive assets, like building homes, starting businesses, and purchasing from other small businesses. You don't own what you rent. It's not an investment, it doesn't provide you equity, and it doesn't increase your net worth. Renting becomes sort of a black pill when you realize that a nice apartment is as useful to you as a big TV or a luxury brand coat. It's neat to have a nice apartment, but there's no point in running the hedonic rental treadmill. Whether you pay $1,500 for a studio apartment or $10K for a 50th story loft, you own nothing, and you might as well be burning your money. This generational black pill is farther accelerating the shift in lifestyle choices that young people are making. Notably, the amount of people between 18 and 29 who still live with their parents. About 45% in 2023. Young people seek control. Control over our finances, our freedom, and our future. When homeownership is off the table, rent is eating our income, and traditional employment doesn't provide enough to plan for the future, the financial strategies that our parents and grandparents followed are out the window. And this is to say nothing of the myriad of rising costs across the board. If young people are making less, and things cost more, there is less opportunity to invest in the future of the culture, and things get worse. It doesn't need to be more complicated than this, and I'm tired of pretending it does. But we'll get back to the collapse of capitalism in a bit. For now, let's focus on the micro scale.
GG's capitalism.
How is this shift affecting the way we live our lives? How are we exacting our agency without the typical avenues previous generations had access to? The answer lies in how marketing strategies have shifted to cater to the new economic reality young people face. If you're a fan of microeconomics and random consumer reports such as myself, you'd know one thing about young people. Apparently, we seek experiences. Every fucking data aggregate and SEO analyst says this. Like, yes bro, of course I seek experience. What, you think I fucking seek lack of experience? You think I want the spark of God to flicker out from behind my eyes? This just in, everyone in Gen Z kills themselves. But how will this affect Amazon Web Services? So what exactly is an experience? This is just another way of saying that young people aren't exactly planning for the future. We don't save for or purchase material goods. And when we do, we splurge on well-made and meticulously chosen items. Things like designer clothes, aesthetic toaster ovens, trips, and fitness clubs. These are the ways we exact control over our lives. A long understood orthodoxy of marketing is that our purchasing decisions reflect who we are. Our lives, no matter how tumultuous or uncertain, are colored with a rich tapestry of objects and keepsakes. These are what make up our physical identity. In a world where we don't have much to look forward to, We want our purchases and the events we partake in to benefit us immediately. Here's a few examples of how this manifests. Gym membership has over doubled since the year 2000, with a whopping 73% of Zoomers claiming they are members of some sort of health club. This is in part from a growing awareness that a lack of exercise destroys your soul and makes you a bad person. But this is also a reflection in the way we live our lives. Data suggests that more Zoomers are moving to urban centers than older generations. With our mix of urban living and side hustles, our days look a lot different. This is important to understand. The daily schedule of a young person is much different than older generations or previous generations of young people. We're sort of never off. Work starts when you open your eyes. You're managing your side hustle, answering emails, going to work your day job, and then dealing with work at the gym, networking in the evening. The old concept of having a first, a second, and third place has entirely collapsed. There is no longer a separation from where you live, where you work, and where you socialize. Everything is muddled together, free of boundaries and forcing you to be your best self 24/7. Not having boundaries throughout your day has led to the rise of fitness clubs like Equinox, a gym whose slogan serendipitously says, "It's not fitness, it's life." Equinox is a luxury fitness brand, offering workout equipment, classes, saunas, massages, a cafe, food, a place you can truly spend in your entire day. Memberships land at around $300 a month. But this isn't just a gym. It's a second home, a place you can spend hours at relaxing, working out, networking, and getting work done in between, all without having to own anything. This emphasizes the experience aspect of marketing towards young people. And the benefit is twofold. The first is that sure, you get the health benefits of a fitness club. But secondly, and far more importantly, you become an Equinox member. You become the type of person that goes to a luxury fitness club. Someone who is always busy, always on their best behavior, surrounded by others who feel the same way. The status signifier of being an Equinox member is as much a part of the experience package they sell you as the club itself. It's classic lifestyle advertising. However, being an Equinox
Yeah, so you're buying an organized lifestyle that you can help scale your goals.
Equinox member says nothing about you. The only fact you can glean from someone who goes to Equinox is that they spend $300 a month to do so. Nothing more. This is an interesting realization Morgan Housel brings up in his book, The Psychology of Money. When someone spends $15K on a Rolex watch, for example, we assume they're wealthy, but we can't know this at all. Anybody watching this could max out 2 credit cards, liquidate their gaming PC, and buy a gray market Submariner. The Rolex wearer is assumed to be a high-level individual, the type of person with the income to make that purchase. But that's just an assumption. All you can know about a Rolex buyer is that they spend $15K on a watch, nothing more. But brands spend hundreds of millions on advertising to make you forget that fact. Equinox spends millions to convince you that this isn't
That is true, bro. Advertising has turned into a whole different beast.
just an expensive gym membership. It's a lifestyle. Doing things like calling their trial membership an initiation, as if you're earning your right to join some sort of secret club, when in reality, you own nothing and you're out $300. Something that most people could find the budget to afford. The $300 you spend at Equinox could get you 10 Planet Fitness memberships and get you in equally good shape. But Planet Fitness is for plebs. Equinox is for winners. That's the experience they sell you. It's with this emphasis on experiences and lifestyles rather than material objects and wealth.
How much for the checkmark badge? Can I buy the badges or not? I really need them. You can't just buy the checkmark badge. You have to you gotta unlock it. You got Cash App. I need them badges. Yeah, bro. Yeah, you can't just buy the badge, bro. Shit. Uh.
That we can begin to understand the concept that drives 21st century consumer culture. Sign value. Jean Baudrillard, a French sociologist and philosopher, introduced the concept of sign value to analyze how objects convey meaning beyond their functional utility and economic worth. In his critique of traditional Marxist economics, Baudrillard proposed that objects possess 4 distinct types of value. Functional value or use value. An object whose value comes from its usefulness, like a fridge or a hammer. Exchange value. An object whose value comes from its exchange potential, like diamonds or gold.
So you're saying for me to get it, I gotta play a whole game for it? Is basically what you're saying? Well, I'm not really gonna play a whole game for it. You gotta stream for it. You want the check mark on Kick or Twitch, you gotta stream for that shit. Or you basically just have to have mad motion or clout, and then you could just email these niggas and they'll give it to you.
Symbolic value. An object whose value comes from its sentiment, like an heirloom or religious artifact. And finally, sign value. An object whose value comes from its function as a communicative symbol. This is what separates Gucci slides from 2 for $10 Walmart flip-flops, or a Rolex from a Seiko. Things can
Okay, what about the Minecraft sword looking thing? That's for moderators.
hold multiple forms of value. A family heirloom could be both made of gold and be sentimental. The fucking hammer that your dad handed down to you when you turned 18 could be both useful and an heirloom. A Schmeg kettle is both useful as a kettle and a luxury brand. What makes sign value different, though, is that sign value is always the most important form of value. What's important about a Schmeg kettle isn't the fact that it boils water. It's that it's red and says Schmeg on it. I hate this thing so far.
Bro, who's actually buying a $300 kettle? Are you who in the right mind on a minimum wage salary is buying a $300 kettle? Right now I'm on minimum wage, chat, and it sucks. Cause I don't even have a job, bro. I don't know how I'm gonna get through this shit, but fuck, bro. Hopefully, yeah, everything works out.
Fucking much. When an object has sign value, it creates a new universe of readings to glean from the object's owner, and a new universe of emotions for the buyer to consider when buying something based on sign value. Sign value is pivotal to contemporary marketing and consumer culture, as it's often the primary consideration when someone makes a luxury purchase. The Rolex wearer invokes immediate judgments about what said person does for a living, what they spend their time doing, where they vacation, what other luxury objects they might own, and ultimately, what that person's daily experience is like. This is in contrast to somebody wearing something like a Casio. A Casio has some sign value. You'd probably guess the Casio owner is a practical person.
Casio owner gives like college teacher or weatherman
Or a modest person, but the Casio
or news reporter
lacks the deep sign value of a Rolex. This is why
the reason I want is because I already have it on TikTok and I just need it on Kick and Twitch 3 out of 3. Alright, bro. If you come to chat every day for the rest of this month, I'm gonna give you at the end of the month I'm gonna give you mod on Twitch and Kick.
Temporary marketing hinges on sign value. It's the reason entire designer brands exist. It's the reason Gucci can sell you a baseball hat for $550. This brings us back to experiences. The emphasis on selling experiences to young people has spread to every level of luxury marketing. But what may surprise you is that this is a shift from old luxury marketing orthodox. Luxury products used to be based on having the best use value or the highest quality. To go back to the Rolex Submariner was not marketed as a
I have school, nigga. It ends at 3:20. I bet.
symbol of prestige or wealth when it was launched, as much as it was marketed as just the highest quality dive watch you could buy. And the launch price reflected this. In 1953, the Rolex Submariner launched for $1,425. Expensive, yes, but not completely out of reach for a middle-class person. The kind of thing you would save for a year on a modest salary to buy. In 2025, this watch retails now for $9,200, almost a 600% increase. The watch hasn't had any meaningful changes. It's still made of stainless steel. The depth ratings increased from 100 meters to 300 meters, but that doesn't justify
what I'm hearing is that, bro, if we want to be able to survive in this new economic climate, bro, we're gonna need a very significant wage bump. Like, they're gonna have to start paying us. Minimum wage is gonna have to rise very significantly if people want to survive, bro, especially in North America. But will Trump and the leaders of Canada try and do anything about that? Me, I doubt it. But we're gonna see, because I feel like the rich just want to stay rich. They don't want to pay any taxes.
100% price increase. The difference is justified in its transformation from use value to sign value. In 1953, it was the best dive watch you could buy. In 2025, it's a fucking Rolex. Up until the 90s and early 2000s, designer brands would tout the quality of the materials, the location it was made, and the process that went into making a luxury object. Designer store employees were told to be snobby and standoffish to customers who entered the store, creating an air of gatekeeping that made you want to get in on the culture. This was called the pretty woman effect. Make rich people insecure, and they'll buy more of your product. But notably, as designer brands shift from selling high-quality material goods to selling a new sign value experience, marketing strategies shift as well. According to internal documents and performance reviews by designer luxury brands like Burberry, the industry is shifting from making rich...
I've been here all the time, so I should be able to get it. Don't worry, Benji. I'm gonna give you mod soon. Don't worry.
people feel insecure to making middle-class people feel welcome. They do this by offering cheaper entry points into the brand, like belts, sunglasses, and hats, to integrate the customer into the brand ecosystem. From there, they are more likely to continue to spend as they make more in income.
Yeah, that's like, it's like Apple. Apple is like the designer brand of phones.
Brands refer to these people as Henrys. High earners, not rich yet. A nebulous term that can literally describe anybody making over the median income in the US. These brands suck you in by emphasizing the experience value of the designer product. You're not just some guy who bought some Burberry. You're hip, young, fast-paced, urban. You care about what you look like and live an experience that requires you to own nice clothing. Like Equinox, it's not just a brand, it's a lifestyle. This shift from snobby to inclusive and welcoming brands is best emphasized by Berkshire Time Machine, the largest watch store in the United States, which opened in New York City on 5th Ave in 2021. The store experience is designed for you to spend hours in. You're assigned an agent who welcomes you and guides you through the process of buying a watch. You can get a coffee, a drink, a meal, get some work done, literally spend the entire day in the store. You're not just some guy who blew his bank balance on an Omega. You're a nuanced and young professional who spent his afternoon deciding which Swiss timepiece best suits his lifestyle, all while sipping Vesper martinis and checking your email. Your email was full of
That's a whole different lifestyle, chat.
Spam, the Vesper's made from Kirkland vodka, and the bar does not even refrigerate their Lillet. But nobody needs to know that. That was a joke for bartenders only. If you're not a bartender, you have to move on. When considering
I didn't get that one.
Marketing strategies from watchmakers, luxury brands, and fitness clubs, it's clear that maybe when these marketing analysts say shit like young people crave experiences, they might be onto something. We want our purchases to create a rich lifestyle. When we can't plan for the future, when we can't be certain of the next 5 years, we want to maximize for the moment. This is a fair impulse, and one that I, as an archetypal 20-something with a day job, 2 side hustles, and a roommate, tend to align with. So this brings us back to the thesis. The idea of luxury poverty. It's a hyperbolic term. To say any of the ideas I just laid out constitute poverty would be downright disrespectful. But there is truth in this term. The truth comes not only from the fact that we unequivocally spend more time optimizing for the present moment, but from the way the whole system is set up and the direction American capitalism is going. The fact that basic milestones are now almost unachievable is not just a blip, and things aren't going to correct anytime soon.
Facts. I don't think in 4 years you could change and turn this shit around, bro. Living in America is just becoming more and more expensive, and it seems like living in China is coming cheaper. Might have to move to China.
Now I know I just said the phrase of
The Chinese dream.
American capitalism, and some of you are already typing angry comments. But bear with me here, because I'm not going to disparage capitalism. I'm going to disparage a process that is actually destroying capitalism in America. The truth is we are rapidly moving towards a world where we don't have assets or tangible wealth. I began with the obvious examples of renting instead of owning. Spending money on a
In 4 years, we finna have the PS9. Nigga, in the 4 years, we're not even gonna have anything close to money enough to buy the next console, I think. We're gonna see though.
Luxury fitness club, or splurging on depreciating luxury goods instead of saving for the future. But this is just the beginning. The world we are moving towards is one where we don't own anything and pay rent to access goods and services. This rent-seeking behavior from corporations is the defining characteristic of 2020's capitalism, a model that all companies seek to achieve. The classic example is Amazon. Amazon is foremost a data company. Sellers pay fees to be part of the algorithm, and buyers are harvested for their spending habits. 75% of American adults have an Amazon Prime membership, which is basically just paying for shipping in advance. And 10% of all American retail purchases in 2024 were made through Amazon. Amazon doesn't make anything. It seeks rent from those who do, and
Yeah, it's just a rent-based economy for real.
facilitates an algorithmically driven marketplace, one that is fed by your data. To compete with this model of creating rent where there was none, Walmart has started doing the same thing with their online marketplace. Uber Eats did this for food delivery. Shopify does this. So does Spotify. Basically, create a cost where there was none under the guise of convenience. 25% of home sales in 2024 were bought by groups.
That being said, make sure you guys subscribe to my Patreon. Links in the description. We do movie and series reactions over there.
Like BlackRock and State Street. Groups whose stated goal is to control 30% of the American
I don't in 4 years I don't even think we're gonna have GTA 6. Bro, that's a great point.
Property market by 2030, creating a nation of renters who will never own the home they live in. This change won't affect boomers or people in their 50s and 60s. This will affect us. Young people will forever be priced out of the housing market by private companies. The houses that State Street and BlackRock buy will never again go on the market. They aren't going to flip them. They are going to extract rent from them for the rest of time. What's interesting here is the model companies take to gain total control of markets. Blitzscaling. Uber did 25 rounds of capital raising and didn't make a profit for almost a decade. Their only concern was rapid expansion into
I'm subscribing to that shit. Hey, Benchy.
every city. Rock bottom prices to price out cab companies and paying off fines and tickets. Their goal was never a more convenient alternative to taxis. It was total control of the concept of ride hailing. A monopoly they now concretely have, and they will never, ever give up. Money that at one point would go in the pocket of the cab driver or the local cab company, but now it goes right to Uber, a company that pays their workers below minimum wage. This is what companies like BlackRock aim to do with housing. They find a home for sale and offer way above the listing price, pricing out any other purchaser in the neighborhood. It's in this new world of rent-seeking and neo-feudalism that profit isn't even required anymore. Money is just how poor people conceptualize power. But no amount of money can match the power that owning the entire ride-hailing market or the entire housing market can get you. The roof you live under, the store you buy your clothes from, the app you watch your shows on. Everything is designed to extract rent from you while producing no value in the process. Rent you have no other option but to pay. It's here that we can truly understand the term luxury poverty. It's not just that we choose to spend money now instead of planning for the future. It's the fact that we don't have a choice to plan for a future. We won't own anything in the future. We have our experiences, our nice gyms, our luxury goods, but we still own nothing that gives us agency.
It's kind of scary to think like that, bro, that we might have a future where no one really owns anything, bro. What the fuck? Well, the regular person doesn't really own anything.
In the beginning of this video, I define luxury poverty as people spending extravagantly on small luxuries despite financial insecurity, prioritizing lifestyle over long-term wealth. The issue with this definition is it assumes we have the option of long-term wealth, that we are sacrificing a future for immediate gratification. We have no future. And what this comes down to is a lack of control under the veil of a stable life. You have a roof over your head. You have the pillars of a normal existence. But every aspect of your life is controlled by rent-seeking companies. What I'm saying is, you own nothing, and you're happy. Nobody loves Gen Z more than me. This is why I say never kill yourself at the end of all my videos. But instead of telling you to never kill yourself, I'm going to leave you today with a different message. Commit political violence. In Minecraft.
Bro, he's basically saying protest because our future is looking fucking dark as a Gen Z, and the rest of y'all niggas better know this. So we gotta start protesting against these political forces to get some type of power in our future, bro. Or else we're just gonna be controlled by AI and old rich families. Oh brother, not the Illuminati.